After years of supporting Kirk during all of Rasheeda's scandals, this is the dramatic twist that nobody anticipated. Shockwaves over the internet following their alleged sighting with another man who is right Kirk's response to Rasheeda cuddling. Up to the unidentified stranger was nothing short of fans of explosives are in utter shock, wondering whether this is the point at which their roller coaster will finally come to a stop. According to relationship sources close to the pair, Kirk was caught off guard by this revelation, and let's simply put, he did not take it well. According to sources, there were heated arguments, allegations were made, and Kirk became enraged. Reached its highest point ever. Is Rasheeda's secret rendezvous more complex, or is karma finally catching up to him? Then, viewers are left wondering if Rasheeda has finally moved on, and what Kirk is up to as the rumors spread like wildfire. To lose everything, and most all, who is this mysterious stranger upending their world? Hold on tight, because we have everything. The unexpected emotions and behind-the-scenes turmoil described in the exclusive information will leave you dumbfounded. Observing since this drama is just beginning, and the tension in the air was evident from the beginning. And routine day turned into a flurry of alarming disclosures on the internet within hours. Now in the core was Rasheed, the woman who had supported Kirk through every scandal, betrayal, and dispute. Of a controversy herself, the whisper began with a few unverified rumors, a few grainy pictures, and some mysterious social media messages. But as soon as indisputable evidence emerged demonstrating Rasheeda with another guy, not just any man, but a man who appeared suspiciously at ease with her fans, were ready to analyze every move made by someone who appeared to be paying close attention to her in a manner that Kirk hadn't in years. Little details like the grandmother's pictures, Rasheeda's body language, and her grin at this unidentified man all combined to create an image. Kirk was unprepared for the internet's uproar, and other supporters spoke up for Rasheeda, saying that after she deserved happiness after everything Kirk had done to her, and many were furious, accusing her of betraying the very guy she had battled so hard to retain by her side. And then there were those asking questions out of sheer incredulity. If this was true, but what transpired next demonstrated that it wasn't simply another unfounded rumor, Kirk responded, and his response shocked the business. According to people close to the marriage, Kirk was taken aback by the information. He was unaware that Rasheeda had been seeing someone else, and upon learning of it, he completely lost it, according to insiders, who said that as soon as he received the call, he hurried out of a business meeting. He didn't even wait for confirmation before an insider revealed the truth. His fists clenched and his emotions barely held. I've never seen him that furious, and the moment he saw those photos, he went into complete meltdown mode. When things went south, Kirk began calling Rasheeda and their common acquaintances one by one to anybody who could respond to him, but Rasheeda didn't. In fact, according to accounts, she fell mute. Unwilling to address Kirk's mounting anger, and that silence just made him more angry, Kirk turned to social media. His Instagram story consisted of a string of irate VAP postings that left admirers wondering in a mysterious but clear manner. Karma always comes full circle, but the one that really set the internet on fire declared that loyalty is dead. The message that said, "Imagine giving someone your entire life just for them to change," within was on fire. Fans were frantically tabbing Rasheeda, demanding answers, and attempting to determine whether Kirk was speaking during those minutes. Concerning her, but Kirk wasn't satisfied with only making subtle jabs online. So the drama didn't end there. No, he was looking for answers, and he resolved to see Rasheeda because he wanted them now. According to reliable sources, Kirk hopped into this vehicle and went directly to a posh restaurant that Rasheeda loves. His worst suspicions were verified when he arrived to the restaurant where she was reported to be that evening. Rasheeda wasn't by herself. The same unidentified man from the pictures was seated across from her and engaged in a lengthy chat. Totally oblivious to the fact that Kirk was about to effortlessly and dramatically make his presence known. As soon as Kirk walked into the restaurant, everyone screamed and their phones and cameras went up. Rasheeda was taken off guard and looked up, her expression inscrutable, but Kirk sensed that something was going to happen. "What the heck is this?" Rasheeda Kirk's voice roared across the room, and his expression conveyed it all: fury, betrayal, and despair. The mystery guy shifted uneasily in his seat, obviously not expecting Kirk to arrive, and the restaurant fell silent. However, Rasheeda stayed remarkably composed as she sat back and carefully put down her fork, keeping her eyes fixed on Kirk's. "Kirk, you need to calm down," she stated in her chair. Her tone was forceful but steady, and Kirk almost laughed incredulously. "You expect me to relax now that you're out here with another man?" The tension was getting to be too much for everyone. The mystery man was clearly uncomfortable now, and everyone in the restaurant was watching to see what would happen next. Tried to defuse the situation by saying, "Look, man, I don't want any trouble." But Kirk interrupted him with a gaze that was too intense. "This has nothing to do with you," Kirk snarled. "It's between my wife and I. It could cut through steel." When Rasheeda eventually got up, she pulled her chair back carefully, took a long breath, and then gave Kirk a direct look. Kirk asked in a calm but piercing tone, "Am I still your wife? Because from what I recall, you lost the right gonna take me long ago." Boom! The whole diner let out a simultaneous scream, and Kirk appeared briefly astonished as though he had gone in prepared to confront Rasheeda, but this wasn't the reaction he was anticipating after being hit in the belly. She was calmly standing there as I was about to confront her and demand explanations. The mystery man seized this opportunity to get up as well, calm and unfazed, but Rasheeda placed a palm on his arm, urging him to keep quiet. Now was her chance to finally express what had been gathering inside of her. "You've been wondering for years what this is, Kirk," and she went on, her voice full of calm power. "This is me at last." Kirk's jaw tightened and his breathing became labored, but I made the decision to do something I should have done a long time ago. Rasheeda dealt the ultimate blow before he could reply, saying, "You think I'm the bad guy now." She then scoffed. Kirk was no longer the one requesting answers after everything you put me through, and suddenly the roles had reversed. Was having trouble finding the right words. The atmosphere in the diner had changed entirely, and Rasheeda took the unimaginable by reaching into her handbag, taking out some cash, and dropping it on the table in front of Kirk. With a little knowing smile, Sim pivoted on her heel, took the unidentified man's hand, and left. Kirk remained still in the restaurant, his thoughts whirling, his world collapsing, and as the cameras continued to roll and the whispers surrounding him became louder, he understood that the moment had finally hit him. Kirk remained frozen, his head whirling, his reality spinning out, something he had lost control over for the first time in his life. Of control he had entered with the expectation of a conflict, expecting Rasheeda to be guilty, or at least defensive, regretful, but instead she had completely turned the tables on him. Rather than simply abandoning him, she strolled out as she had already gone on and was in charge, as though she had been wronged. Around him, diners were still gazing and whispering, with some openly filming others, while others pretended to be not to watch, but to cling to every second. The recordings were already appearing on social media. Kirk saw that his entire reputation was disintegrating in front of him as the argument spread like wildfire. This wasn't how it was meant to happen. He clenched his hands, his breathing was shallow, and his pulse was thumping in his ears. Was meant to be the one with authority and the one asking for answers, but Rasheeda had walked unconcerned, leaving him standing there looking foolish. And worst of all, she was still holding the hand of another man that a new rush of rage swept through him as the image lingered in his memory. He couldn't just let this go. He needed more than anything. He needed to understand what the hell was actually happening in order to identify that man. Speak with Rasheeda directly, but he hurried out of the restaurant, ignoring the steps. He took out his phone and dialed Rasheeda's number while the people were still whispering his name, but it went exactly as before. He phoned again without getting through, and his irritation bubbled over as he banged his fist against his, after everything they had been through together and all the time she had spent with him, was she really doing this to him? She was the one who stuck with him when everyone warned her not to, forgave him, and ignored his errors. Being spotted with another guy, and now that she was leaving, Kirk wasn't going to allow that to happen, so he devised to contact one of his closest insiders who was constantly up to date on everything that was going on in their circle. "Tell me all you know about the man she's been seeing," Kirk insisted. As soon as his phone rang, the insider paused before answering. "Are you sure you want to know Kirk's clenched jaw?" "I wouldn't." The insider side glance, "I'm not sure how serious it is, but based on what I've heard, they've been phoning if I hadn't lingering for a minute. Not just once, not again, but several times, because of Kirk's hold on the phone." "But who is he?" After some further reluctance, the insider eventually revealed his identity and revealed Marcus's name. "Business person. He's got money influence, and from what I understand, he's been pretty wonderful to Rasheeda." That last part sent Kirk over the edge, real nice to her. Kirk repeated his voice dangerously low. "What the heck does it mean?" The insider paused. Rashi is different with him, as if he is picking his words deliberately. "I don't want to say too much, though. She's reportedly been telling folks that she's now experiencing what it's like to be happier and less worried." Kirk felt as like he had been hit in the gut by being with a man who appreciates her, something she hadn't experienced with. As if the years they spent together had been in vain, his Amber changed into something more sinister, desperate to talk to Rasheeda and solve things before it was too late. He took the only action he could imagine that he went directly to their home, which they had constructed together and which had witnessed every. He wasn't going to let their chaotic love story end with a fight, a reconciliation, or any other event. Her car was parked outside when he arrived at the driveway, which was all he needed to know she was home. He was heading to obtain his answers, whether she approved of them or not. He hardly knocked before he pushed the door open, his annoyance exploding. Rasheeda was in the living room, sitting on the couch and sipping a glass of wine, staring at utterly unconcerned. She hardly even looked up at him while taking a sip. Kirk, saying that his presence was her least worries are, "What are you doing here?" And, "What am I doing here?" Kirk reiterated, "Are you really? You were just caught with another man and you don't believe I'll be there?" Rashima sighed. "I don't have time for this. You don't have time, Kirk," she said, putting down her glass and turning to face him. The mention of Marcus's name makes Rasheeda chuckle bitterly, indicating that you have time for him, but not for me. She hastily covered up her slightly altered countenance, saying, "You don't get to question me, Kirk, not after everything." Kirk knew how serious this situation was when you put me through that, didn't you? Rasheeda wasn't. She wasn't disputing anything, offering justifications, or even attempting to lessen the blow that was delivered to her for the first time. Kirk could see it in her eyes. She was no longer the same person who had forgiven him for years. Struggled to maintain their marriage when she went on, and Kirk paced the room while rubbing his face in an attempt to rap. His Rasheeda shook her head and said, "What are you doing? Just throwing everything away?" "Kirk, you tossed away her head a long time ago, and I've only learned that I don't need to hang on to something that's already said." The word struck Kirk more forcefully than he had anticipated, since he had always thought Rasheeda would always be there. He realized that no matter how terrible things became, she would never truly go. However, he knew this after seeing her. Wasn't just another altercation. This wasn't just another setback. This was the start of the worst. Kirk stood there, his chest rising and falling with the weight of it, knowing that there was nothing he could do to stop it. "You tossed it away a long time ago, and I just kept thinking about everything that had just hit him, including Rasheeda's remarks." Finally understood that I don't need to hang on to something that has been shattered for years. He had assumed that no Rasheeda would always be there, regardless of how terrible things got or what errors he made. She had always been the one to keep things together, even though he had given her every excuse not to. She had always been the one to defend their marriage. However, judging by the way she sat and spoke, she wasn't upset or even attempting to make him feel bad. Had just released Kirk's grip, gulped hard, and said, "Let it. You're truly done," Rasheeda murmured. Kirk shakes her head a little, saying, "I've been waiting so long for things to happen that I don't know what else to say. Changing, waiting for you to change, and the fact is that I've now come to the conclusion that I can't wait for her to say that." But Kirk refused. Accepting that this was the end because you truly believed Marcus would provide you with something more than what You really believe he knows you as well as I do, and loves you as I do for you? He shot back his frustrated voice. Rasheeda's face transformed the moment he entered. Her jaw tensed, and there was a flash of... She stood up now and remarked, "You don't understand it, do you?" With a disappointed expression in her eyes. Setting her glass down on the table, "I'm doing something for myself for the first time. It's not about Marcus." C shook his head and moved closer. "So what are you just going to do instead of attempting? To cure you or us?" Rasheeda's lips parted as though she were going to reply, but then she said, "To erase everything we built, everything we've been through." She simply exhaled and shook her head once again, saying, "Kirk, I don't expect you." To comprehend that was when Kirk understood that no matter what he said or how hard he battled Rasheeda, she wouldn't change her mind, had decided, but Kirk wasn't the kind to give up easily and wasn't going to let her go without. He responded, his voice growing abrasive. "Fight. You really think the fans won't have anything to say about this? After everything we've been through together, you believe that people are just going to ignore this for you?" Rasheeda had a little sour chuckle when she realized what it was, and Kirk told me what it was since you seemed to believe you knew. "Tell me everything, please." Kirk folded his arm and spoke in a chilly tone. "Are you attempting to retaliate against me now?" When something inside Rasheeda broke her entire body, "This is you finally receiving your retribution. You honestly believe that I spent years of my life just so I might shift my posture and hear her voice for the first time? Could receive retribution?" Kirk didn't answer. Instead, he simply saw Rasheeda's